Hi friends, hope you are fine. In the last video we discussed about the classification of fungus. In this video let us understand the classification of a beautiful silent group of plants, the bryophytes. Majority of the classification system classified bryophytes into three classes. First one is called as Hepaticopsida or liverworts, and the second class is called as Anthoceratopsida or hornworts, and the third class or the most advanced class is the Bryopsida or the mosses. At the end of this discussion, you will be able to understand what are bryophytes, an outline of bryophytes classification systems, different classes of bryophytes, their characteristics with examples within 5 to 10 minutes. How can we define bryophytes? The etiology or word origin of bryophytes, bryon means moss, phyton means plants or moss-like plants. They are seedless, non-vascular plants often called as the amphibians of the plant kingdom. Because of their amphibious habitat, they prefer to grow in amphibious environment, mostly terrestrial plants. There are some exceptions like Rixia fluitans, Rixiocarpus nitens, both are aquatic bryophytes. Some lives on dry rocks like Porella. Some are epiphytes like Dendroceros. Rarely there are saprophytes like Buxbaumia. Now let us understand the three classes in detail. The first class is Hepaticopsida or liverworts. They are called as liverworts because these plants are widely used by herbalists for the treatment of liver ailments. Let us see the life cycle to understand the characteristics of this class. As you see, this is the gametophytic thallus, which is flat, dorsiventral. This is the antheridophore, the sex organ, male sex organ, and this is archegoniophore, the female sex organ. So sex organs are formed on the dorsal side of the thallus. That means on the upper side of the thallus. Antheridia produces sperm cells or male gamete which is flagellated, whereas archegonia forms egg or female gamete, undergoes fertilization and forms zygote. Then zygote divides and later form a sporophyte. In bryophytes, the dominant phase is the gametophytic phase. This is the sporophyte that is dependent on the gametophyte. In the case of Hepaticopsida, the sporophyte consists of a foot, then a zeta and a capsule. Foot is a structure that attaches to the gametophyte, helping in anchorage and absorption of nutrients from the gametophyte. Then there is a zeta that connects this foot to the capsule. Then capsule is a structure in which spores are formed. As you see, apart from spores, there are some specialized cells, spiral or coiled cells which are called as elaters. They can absorb water, they are hygroscopic, helps in dispersal of the spores. Then this sporophyte, the sporogenous cells undergoes meiosis, forming spores. Later the spores are released and spores germinate upon falling on a suitable substratum. Again, the gametophytic phase begins. In general, in bryophytes, the dominant phase is the haploid gametophytic phase, and the sporophyte is dependent or parasitic on the gametophytic phase. Now let us summarize the characteristics of Hepaticopsida. Dorsiventral flattened gametophyte, thallus or foliose, aseptate rhizoids without septum or crossfold. Sex organs are formed on the dorsal surface, antheridium and archegoniophore. Sporophyte is simple, differentiated into foot, zeta and capsule. Elaters are present. They are special cells that helps in dispersal of the spores, sometimes absent in some genus like Rixia. Sporogenous tissue develops from endothecium of sporangium. Dehiscence of the capsule is irregular. Examples include Rixia and Marchantia. Now let us understand the characteristics of second class Anthoceratopsida. They are called as hornworts. So this is the life cycle of Anthoceratopsida. As you see, it starts with the gametophyte, which is flat, dorsiventral, thallus, with rhizoids. Then Antheridia and Archegonium are the male and the female reproductive structures from which the male gamete, the sperm, and the female gamete, egg forms. Then it undergoes fusion forming the zygote. Zygote later give rise to a sporophyte. This is a sporophyte, and this sporophyte has a horn-like appearance. Therefore, these group of bryophytes are called as hornworts. Inside the sporogenous tissue or spore mother cell undergoes meiosis, forming haploid spores, and these spores germinate and finally forming the gametophyte again. And this is the structure of the sporophyte. There is a foot, then there is a meristematic zone that helps in the growth of the sporophyte or this capsular region. Then there is a sterile tissue that is running, which is called as a columella. There are elaters, often called as pseudo-elaters as it is not single-celled. It is a multicellular structure. Then many spores are formed, and this is the sporogenous cells that undergoes meiosis, forming spores. So sporophyte of Anthoceratopsida has three parts: a foot, a meristematic zone, and the capsule. As you see, the sex organs are formed on the dorsal surface is antheridium and archegonium. Stomata is present on the surface of the sporophyte. Now let us summarize the characteristics of Anthoceratopsida. Dorsiventral flattened thalloid gametophyte, just like Hepaticopsida. Sex organs are present on the dorsal surface. Sporophyte is elongated, foot, meristematic region, and capsule. Elaters are present, often called as pseudo-elaters, as it is a multicellular structure and are present inside the capsule. Sporogenous tissue develops from amphithecium, and endothecium form sterile columella. Dehiscence of capsule is irregular. Examples include Anthoceros and Notothylus. Now let us see the most advanced group among bryophytes, the Bryopsida or the mosses. So this is the life cycle of a typical moss. As you see, this is a male gametophytic plant and this is a female gametophytic plant. Leafy, well developed with a well developed rhizoids for attachment or anchorage and absorption. Then antheridium and archegonium are there as sex organs. Antheridium forms the male gamete sperm, whereas archegonium forms the female gamete egg, undergoes fertilization and forms the zygote. It develops into a sporophyte, and sporophyte is an elongated structure, and this is the foot. Then there is an elongated seta, and finally there is a capsule. Capsule anatomically is a well-developed structure. The sporophyte is totally dependent on this gametophyte, as in Anthoceratopsida and Hepaticopsida, a common characteristic of bryophytes. Spores, upon maturity, it is released. Let us see the structure of this capsule in detail. So this is the structure of the capsule. So this is a seta, then there is a conducting strand that supplies nutrients to the developing spores. And here you can see the opening is called a lid-like opening, which is called as operculum. Then there is peristome teeth and annulus that are made up of thin-walled cells, hygroscopic or water-absorbing cells that helps in dispersal of spores upon maturity. Then there is columella. The sterile tissue is called as columella. Then spores are formed inside this structure from sporogenous tissue. So a well-developed capsule is there in the case of Bryopsida or mosses with efficient mechanism that helps in efficient dispersal of spores. Spores falling on suitable substratum, it first develops into protonema. With rhizoids, then leafy gametophyte forms again. Let us summarize the characteristics. Gametophytic plant body with axis, leaves and rhizoids. That's why called as the most advanced group. Multicellular septate rhizoids, well-developed rhizoids meant for attachment and absorption. Sex organs that develops on the superficial cells at the apex of leafy gametophore. Then sporophyte consists of foot, seta and capsule. Elaters are absent. Capsule has a complex structure with well-developed spore dispersal mechanism. Sporogenous tissue that develops from the outer layer of endothecium. Inner layer forms sterile columella. Dehiscence of capsule is regular. Examples include Funaria, Sphagnum and Polytrichum. So let me summarize. The three classes of bryophytes are Hepaticopsida, the liverworts, Anthoceratopsida, the hornworts, and Bryopsida, the mosses, the most advanced group among bryophytes. Remember, bryophytes are the most diverse group of plants after flowering plants or angiosperms with approximately 15,000 to 25,000 species. Hope you are benefited from this video. Take care, stay blessed. Thank you so much for your support. You are with biologyexamsforyou.com.